Even though both of Marvel's world-famous super teams debuted in the exact same month of the exact same year, the X-Men and the Avengers have had their own unique problems to worry about in the 50 years since. So as much as fans might hate today's blockbuster reality of separate studios keeping universes from crossing over, it isn't too different from the comics. That being said, the mutant do-gooders and Earth's mightiest heroes have found a few reasons to cross paths, or swap members, over the years. And when the X-Men and the Avengers meet, there's just one question on fan minds. When you get right down to it, which is the stronger team? It's not an easy question to answer, or even one Marvel wants people to ask, but it's a fun one to explore. In the comics or on the big screen, any competition has to begin with the most obvious question: who would win in a fight? We'll try to answer this question and more in our latest docuseries, X-Men vs. the Avengers. Who is Marvel's most powerful team?
Avenging is your world. Your world is crazy.
The leaders. While most comic book fans would tell you that Captain America has emerged as the de facto leader of the Avengers, the team's origins, and the version seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, have both viewed Steve Rogers as the heart, but not necessarily the brains or the money behind the team. That duty fell to billionaire superhero Tony Stark, always one step ahead of the problem, with enough technology and wit to solve it. For the X-Men, it's an easier question. Scott Summers, aka Cyclops, is the embodiment of a fearless leader. And while he may be lacking in funds or gadgets compared to the Avengers' resident beam weapon blaster, he makes up for it in courage and determination. If we're talking purely about power, Cyclops has an edge. Tony Stark's famous armor and onboard attacks are powerful, but they can't hold a flame to Cyclops' eye blasts, channeling massive beams of concussive force from an alternate dimension. Unfortunately, the students and teachers at the Xavier School don't really believe in armor. Combine that with Iron Man's ability to fly, and it's hard to believe Tony wouldn't come out on top, even if he lacks the conviction or inspiration Cyclops has in spades. Edge, Avengers.
Apparently I'm volatile, self-obsessed, and play well with others.
The Lost Warriors. Two men blessed with increased durability, agility, reflexes, and strength. One, a clawed mutant who's nearly impossible to kill, and the other, a soldier out of time who will never give up. The comparisons between Captain America and Wolverine might not be obvious on the surface, but they've got more in common than you might think. Burying a past filled with dead friends and loved ones, and with only the war at hand to give them purpose, you have to think that any fight between the two would end in cold beers instead of blood. But our mission demands that we not just imagine the amazing flurry of feet, fists, and sprayed sparks that this fight would entail, but who would emerge victorious. Even in the most balanced fights, you have to put your money on the person who heals instantly. But the fact that most comic book fans wouldn't want to see these two heroes fight to the death perfectly demonstrates how even the teams really are. Edge, X-Men.
You actually go outside in these things? What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
The Witches. Now we're talking about true power. In the Avengers corner, there's Scarlet Witch, a troubled woman struggling to control the magical powers she wields over reality itself. In the X-Men's corner, there's Jean Grey, a troubled woman struggling to control the mutant and cosmic powers she is able to wield over reality itself. We would usually call this one a draw, since Scarlet Witch is also a player in Marvel's version of the Ultimate Avengers. But add in the Phoenix Force that makes Jean Grey the most powerful mutant in the universe, and nobody, not even her teammates, can hope to survive. Edge, X-Men.
Well, that's a very, very interesting theory. I have a simpler one. You're all not worthy.
The Gods. What's a fight without some thunder and lightning? It's almost weird how perfectly these teams stand up against each other, almost as if they were created by the exact same men at the exact same time. Anyway, the God of Thunder taking on a goddess of nature, if you believe the legacy of Storm's family, is the kind of fight that comics exist to make possible. Each one is a serious ace in the hole for either team, since controlling the wind, clouds, and lightning isn't a tool most villains can call on. But again, one little factor seems to make all the difference. One of these two is as hard to kill as a Norse god, and the other isn't. Edge, Avengers.
And Hulk. Smash.
The Hulk versus... This one is pretty self-explanatory. The Avengers have a Hulk.
We have a Hulk.
The X-Men have plenty of angry mutants, brilliant mutants, and even some green ones, but zero Hulks. Edge, Avengers.
Right. Don't mention puny Banner.
The running totals. Putting the heroes head-to-head shows that they really are a solid match, which is probably why their track record of actual fights in the comics usually ends in a draw, and more often than not, somebody is being misled, manipulated, or mind-controlled. When the teams first met in combat, when they both tried to capture the villain Lucifer in 1965, it was Professor X who stopped the fight before one team could come out on top. The champion was actually chosen when the X-Men were mind-controlled into fighting the Avengers and were taken down one by one. Beast fell to Black Panther, Ant-Man went giant to defeat Cyclops, Hawkeye outsmarted Iceman, and so on and so on. But 2 decades later, the score was settled when the mutants won a moral and legal victory in the X-Men vs. Avengers series. The epic showdown between both sides in 2012's Avengers vs. X-Men turned out to be a draw as well, with both teams working together to take on the Phoenix Force, which might be the entire point. The teams are both as powerful as Marvel can make them. Who wins in a fight? That question can't be answered, since the people writing the comics know that it's a conflict which shouldn't and couldn't be that simple. So the teams are different, but equal then. While the Avengers tackle alien evildoers and protect the Earth from supervillains the world over, the X-Men tackle mutant villains and crises, working to keep mutants capable of rewriting history and time itself in control. To be honest, the fact that each team has failed in their missions during some pretty high-profile storylines would suggest they both have some room to grow before claiming they're the most powerful. But in Hollywood, there's at least one clear winner: the box office champion. The X-Men movie universe and its solo Wolverine adventures has done well for itself on film, bringing in more than $3 billion total. But compare that to Marvel, having now brought in over $10 billion worldwide, and the Star-Spangled Heroes crew of misfits has claimed to the crown. So is it enough to be the most powerful Marvel super team when it comes to ticket sales? Even if it is, we've got some bad news. Although Fox's X-Men universe has less than half the box office totals of Marvel's Avengers, they made it with half as many movies, which is either a massive coincidence or proof that the universe itself wants Marvel fans divided on which team reigns supreme.
All right, good job, guys.
So what do you think? Is it only right that Marvel's 2 greatest teams should come to a tie whenever and wherever they compete? Or do you think the rise of the Marvel Cinematic Universe beats Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Friends hands down? The future of the movies may not offer a clear answer at this point, but in today's world of billion-dollar superhero blockbusters, almost anything is possible. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and remember to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one.